How's it going, everyone? I'm Jared.
I'm Corey.
And this is the Yoda Expedition YouTube channel. Today we're doing a quick install on our Roam Vagabond tent, and we're gonna be using the Sherpa mounting equipment this time. We did a video mounting this with the mounts from Roam, and there were some benefits, some disadvantages. We did notice some squeaking with it mounted with those because they're kind of generic. It just kind of clamps on there, and then it was rubbing on the rails that it wasn't mounted to. These Sherpa mounts are a little more sturdy, and they actually hold the tent just slightly up off the rack, so there won't be any noises, hopefully. So we're gonna get this mounted up. We're gonna show you how to do it.
Andrew was over there flipping us the bird.
That's what he does. All right, so according to Sherpa's instructions, what they want you to do is to remove your roof bars and install them on the bottom of your tent, and then lift everything up all together and put it on the roof rack. We weren't sure that this was the best way, but we thought about it, and it probably is, and there's probably a good reason why they have you do that. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is remove a minimum of 3. That's gonna be their minimum recommendation to mount to the tent. They say the more the better, but we're gonna go with the recommended 3 crossbars. You good up there? What were you doing? Were you whispering into the microphone?
No, Andrew's over there making more faces.
No, that's just what his face looks like. It always looks like that.
You're like...
His face always looks like that.
Whoa.
The paint. Dude, the paint.
Well, you're the one that took both out without holding it.
Well, I said it once and I'll say it again. That's what happens when you're done.
This is gonna suck lifting this thing up here.
I know. It's only 150 pounds, but it's very awkward. All right, we got 3 of the crossbars removed. We're gonna pull the tent up here, stand it on its side, I think is gonna be the best way, and then get the Sherpa mounts attached and get these attached to the bottom of the tent.
All right, here we go. Lift with your back and twist.
Lift with your back. Oh, it's not as bad as I remember. It's just the lifting it up past your head part. All right. So it should stand up like that. That's good. Let's check the framing. So this is the hardware that came with the Roam tent. This is the sandwich plate. The long piece is a sandwich plate that was underneath the crossbar, and it just kind of pinched the tent on. And then these pieces are what slide in the bars on the tent, and you're gonna need these bolts and nuts to attach the Sherpa hardware. What? What'd you say in the background? All right, Corey's gonna show you real quick how to put the Roam mounts into the bars.
Well, we have everything laid out here. Hardware, T-nuts, we got the brackets from Sherpa, we got these from the Roam tent, which slide into the rails on the Roam tent. So we're gonna probably put these even. We're gonna do, since we took off 3 rails, we're gonna do 3, something like that. Spread them out evenly. Same with the bottom. Something like that. And we'll go ahead and get these mounted on. So since we're using only 3 rails and we have 8 of these, the center one, we're gonna put 1 on each side, and then this is going to mount to the side like that, and then that will slip down. So we'll have 4 on the middle rail and then 2 on each outer rail. So we're gonna go ahead and put the T-nuts in the rail from Sherpa. There's 3 per bracket, and then we'll get these brackets mounted onto the rails first before we go ahead and get it mounted onto the tent rails.
So I'm gonna get these lined up just right. 1 of the Sherpa bolts, 1 of the Sherpa washers, and make sure do this the same way that you did that one. Obviously leaving everything loose so that it can be moved around. I don't care what anyone says, washers have an upside and a downside. Comment if you agree. All right, so we're just working out the best way to make sure that all the rails are centered, because we're gonna tighten everything up off of the truck, and then hopefully you need to make sure that this one, and that one are all exactly centered, so the tent is centered on the rack, and so that these all slip in between the side rails on the truck. So we're gonna get the mounts put on the other 2 rails, get those on here, and then we'll square everything up. So like we said, these 2 rails are just getting 2 of the mounts because they're the ones on the outside. So I'm gonna grab the other rail.
Probably do it like this. Or no,
No,
actually
you want
like this, and then push it out.
Push it towards the outside, yeah. It probably, it really probably doesn't matter that much, but. So yeah, like Corey mentioned, we're gonna try to put the support as close to the edge so these are pointing towards the outside. It probably doesn't matter that much, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get the hardware from the Roam tent, the nylock nuts and washers bolted onto here so that we can tighten these down. It's also gonna be important that we make sure the bars are straight because they could technically be crooked.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of
Squaring up everything. It'd be really cool if you guys wouldn't tell anyone I sneeze like that.
What?
So it'd be really cool if you guys didn't tell anyone I sneeze like that. So we're just making sure these end caps are pressed in all the way, and then we're sliding this over until it stops against the plastic cap. That's where we're putting the ones on each end. The center one we will have to measure, make sure it's completely squared up. Got the 11 millimeter, so we're gonna tighten up the Sherpa hardware on each side, and we're basically just gonna eyeball this and make it similar on both ends to make sure all 3 are the same. We're just gonna use these Roam plates as shims for the bottom so that all 3 are definitely gonna be in the same spot. So I'm gonna start with 2, see where that puts us. I think we can do 3 or 4. We'll try 3. So that puts us about 3/4 from the end. That's definitely not centered. Even with 4, it's not going to be centered. But I'm gonna call it close enough because that's all we got on hand right now. Corey's just spacing out the one on that end. I'm gonna get that tightened down. Then the one in the center after we measure the gap here and there. And then we're ready to do the hard part, lifting it up onto the truck. Unless you have a forklift or something like that, you're gonna need 2 people minimum. It'd probably be best to have a third to just kind of assist, but we'll cover that when we get there. All right, we measured everything up. Corey's getting the center beam tightened on. There's a few issues that we think we're gonna encounter already, but we're gonna follow through and see how it goes, I guess. We're just following the instructions as Sherpa has them, so. All right, we're gonna lift the tent onto this cart so that we have a good starting point here. We also have a moving blanket that we're gonna lay on the roof just in case. Not sure how this is gonna go, so here goes nothing. It's not awkward at all. That's fine.
Why does it seem heavier now than when we just picked it up 5 minutes ago?
We just put 3 rails on. That's probably part of the reason.
Well, ain't gonna get up there by standing here. So.
1, 2, 3. Jesus Christ. No, I thought we were doing it.
This is stupid.
What was that? Where are you?
I'm down here. I wasn't ready.
2, 3. My man. There we go. Get the bolts over. So we're trying really hard to do this with 2 people. We want to try and do it the way you would do it in your garage at home. So Corey's just getting the bars lined up so we can rest the tent on one of the bars we're not using. And then I have a piece of wood here for leverage. What we're gonna do is have someone go in the sunroof and hold the tent up in the front while the other person gets the front bar hardware started. And then we're gonna use this piece of wood for leverage to hold up the back end and get the bolt started on the back. Lift it and move it an inch forward. Oh, is it jammed? Okay, right there is actually mint.
I got it.
And I can actually hold this up with my thumb here. I'm gonna get one started. So we were able to get that one started. They're all fairly close. You can wiggle the tent up and down just by lifting it like this and you can get it started, so that's good. We did have Andrew up here helping, so 3 people might be the ticket. Middle one's started, everything's fitting in. It looks like we're good. Everything worked out. You can see these mounts do rise it up just a little bit so that the crossbars under the tent are not rubbing on the crossbars on the Sherpa roof rack, which is nice. That was our biggest complaint with the Roam style mounts, is you got a lot of squeaking because it was rubbing against the other crossbars that it was not mounted to. It doesn't look like much, but you can see the marks right here where it was rubbing on this rail, and it being right above the driver and passenger seat in the front, it's incredibly loud and annoying.
All right, guys, he's gonna finish up tightening this side, and then we're finished with the install. If it were me, this definitely was a little bit more difficult than just using the mounts that came with the Roam tent. If you wanna go with the mounts from the Roam tent, I would maybe just suggest putting some rubber in between so that way you don't have to worry about squeaking. But it was easier to install with the Roam mounts versus these Sherpa mounts. If you had some sort of garage hoist system to put the tent on and off the top of your truck, it would definitely make it a lot easier, and then I would go ahead and say use these Sherpa mounts. But with 2 people, this was not easy, just to get everything lined up and get it in between the rails and stuff like that. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Thanks for watching.
Quick update on the Sherpa mounts for our Roam tent. We got it up there, took it camping over the weekend. It's about an 1.5-hour drive out to AOAA campgrounds and off-road park. On the highway, there wasn't any added wind noise or anything crazy, which is really nice. And we took it off-road for several hours and everything stayed tight and the tent was extremely secure with these Sherpa mounts. It's nice and low profile, so it keeps it as low to the rack as possible. And we didn't have any of the annoying squeaking that we had with the mounts that came with the tent. So I can definitely recommend the Sherpa mounts, especially if you're gonna be keeping it up there long term, since they are a little more difficult to get it installed. Or if you have some sort of hoist system in your garage to get the tent on and off, these are definitely the way to go. You can grab them at yodaexpedition.com. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I almost forgot. Video from this weekend of our camping trip is gonna be dropping this week.